Okay, here we are on our activity 3.2.2 loads. You should have watched the PowerPoint and taken notes. You will be using the information you got from the PowerPoint along with looking up information online in your IBC 2012, and these are the different tables you're going to be using. And it's important to note here that this first part, number 1 through 7 on this activity, is this scenario right here, where we're looking at a high school and we're going to do the loads for a roof of this high school that's located in Chicago. On number 8, you're going to be doing these same calculations for your library, but for now we're going to do it for this example here, where we're talking about a high school in Chicago. You will be using all of these different places to look up various informations to answer the different questions here, and we will have to reference back to this picture. You will be using this criteria right here. This is describing the information we would need to know for the high school. This is for the high school. You'll then use your own information when you get to your library on number 8. You are expected to show all of this work in your notebooks and do all the calculations. I'm going to kind of get you started here on this video, but when you work it in your own notebooks, you do need to show all the formulas and all the work, just like normal. So number 1, we're going to start by calculating the snow load for the low slope roof. And it already gives me some of the information here. This is the formula that we had from the PowerPoint. And as I said, here's 3 of the numbers to fill in. The other ones we'll have to figure out ourselves. So the first one we're going to do is look at the occupancy table. And you'll need to look at this table to find your own information for your library. But for the high school, I have a little part of that table right here. This one, 1604.5. And for the high school, I just keep looking down till I find a high school. Okay, I have it highlighted right here. Secondary school, greater than 250. They had 2,500 students. So that makes this a category 3. So you'd write that down. The importance factor comes from the importance factor table that I gave you. And we just look up category 3. That's an IS of 1.1. So write that down. Now the ground snow load, we actually need to consult the map on this figure on the IBC. So I have it right here. Chicago is located right here. You do have to know where the city is you're talking about. Chicago's right here, so it's in the 25 PSF section. Noblesville will be right here, so that you know when you get to your library. So we'd write down 25. Now you need to check the snow levels. This is where these 2 little parts that were in the PowerPoint come in. And you need to check which category you're looking at. For the high school, we just got 25 here. So is 25 greater than 20? Yes. So then we need to do this calculation. PS needs to be greater than IS times 20. Do this calculation, and then use whichever PS is bigger. The one we got here, or this one. That's what you would use. If on your library PG is less than or equal to 20, then you'd use this calculation and use whichever one is bigger, this one or that one. We're always looking for the bigger load because we want to use basically the worst case scenario when we're doing designs. Alright, number 2, find the live roof loading. So again, here's my table I'm going to look up in. And this table is actually pretty long. I just snipped out the part that applied to us, but it goes 1 through 26. I just snipped at 26, which is roofs. And we know it's an ordinary flat roof because it told us right here under our criteria, low slope roof. So I know I'm going to use 20 PSF for my live load for the roof. So this is my LR. Write that down. Now I need to figure out how much the dead load of just the weight of the roof itself weighs. I'm going to do that by looking it up on the weight of materials table. And I found all these items that go into the roof looking over here. It lists out exactly what items are in my roof. So I'm going to use this information to make a list of all the items. Built up roof. Well, I just look at my weight of materials table. And roofing materials is right here, built up. 6.5. So I write that down right here. By the way, you should have this entire thing copied down, including the words along with the numbers to show your work. 5-inch rigid insulation. So I'm going to look that up. Insulation. Rigid insulation per 1-inch thickness is 0.75. So how do I find out what 5 inches is? Well, I do 5 times 0.75. So I do 5 times 0.75, write down my answer there. Continue looking these up and writing down the numbers. MEP is not going to be found on the materials table. Notice MEP stands for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. If I look over here, it told me what to use for MEP. It said assume 10, so that's what we're going to put down right here for MEP. Add these up to get your total dead load. Now we're going to calculate the total design load. This is what we need to use to figure out what kind of beams we need in our roof. Our dead load, we just calculated here. A live load, there's no live load on the roof other than the roof live loading, which is this one, because we don't have people up there dancing around on the roof of the school. So there's no live load. This one is this one here, and our snow load came from the previous question about snow. You just need to use whichever one of these is the bigger one. That's what this means. When it has this part in our formula, we just use whichever one of these three is the largest to do the calculation. Find that, and that's going to be your total design load that we're going to use later on. So now they gave us this picture, and they asked us first to find the steel roof deck, double span. So I need to use the design load that I got right here, and I need to look up on this table. It's in your packet right here. I need to look up what size of span I have. Well, this says it's got a 7-foot span right there, and it told us to use a double span. So we go over to 7-foot spacing and then go down to the double span. So I need to pick one of these three, whichever one is just larger than what we found in question number 4. And that'll tell us if we've got a type 22, 20, or 18 that we're going to use. Write down the type you're going to use here. Number 6, determine the roof beam loading. So first we need to find the tributary widths. We talked about that in the PowerPoint. And we're going to do it for an interior and an exterior beam. For an interior beam, that's like this one right here. The width is going to go from the middle of this span to the middle of this span. So figure out if these are each 7, how wide this is going to be, and write it down there. An exterior beam is like this outside one where it's going to go from the middle of here to the edge there. Figure out how much that's going to be and write it down here. Now to find the uniform beam loading of each one of these, you just take its tributary width for interior times the design load we found in number 4, multiply them and you'll get the interior. Then do the same for the exterior. Number 7 is where we're actually going to choose the steel joist that we need. We're going to do it again. First, we're going to do it between beams 8 and 9, and then we're going to do it between beams 9 and 10. If we look back at our original picture, we have 2 different lengths there. Look at this length here for between 8 and 9, and this length here for between 9 and 10. You're going to need to use both of those lengths. So we have the length here, between 8 and 9, it happens to be 16 foot, and then write down what it is between 9 and 10. Now we're going to use our tables, this table right here, and look up a 16-foot length. So I go right here down to 16, and then I'm going to go across on this table until I find the loading that I got on question number 6. For the interior beam, I use the loading I found right here, and I go across. And I'm looking at the top number. We're not going to use the bottom number right now, so I just need to go across until I find the beam at the top that goes with the number that is just bigger than the answer I got on the last question. Write that one down for the interior beam. Do the same thing for the exterior beam. Look across 16 so you find the one that matches the weight you had there. Then do the same things for the spans 7 and 8. Between 9 and 10. Now on question number 8, now you're going to basically go through all these same steps, but with your library renovation. I've made this extra page up to kind of help you guide you through all those steps. I've even told you what sections to look up. So fill all this out. It's just like what we just did for the high school. You do not need to do number 9. You're not going to go back into Revit and make the changes in Revit. Okay, that's all there is to this activity. Thanks for watching.